Okay, any questions? Comments? All right, rock and roll. Let's do it.
If you guys can mute your phones. Seconds.
Ja, Emet Yazi in Shiat Sanjikin and Shloma Deshkini Bash Chin, Sina Jenny Dash Kiani Dash Nulla. Quatlasi Tlingi Iba Hojo. We welcome all of you, all the dignitaries, honored guests, professionals, and we are here to celebrate not only the promotion but also the pinning of the official badge of the Office of the Chief of Police for the Navajo Police Department. We're celebrating the promotion of Chief Daryl Noon. But before we begin all the festivities and all the honored dignitaries that come up here to speak, I'd like to turn over some time to Captain Silversmith to open up our ceremonies with a prayer.
Yeah, kudo shahadet ani do shit edge. She ma idesh kijin slonkia ani basis chin kudo todich itni. Das ist she dort is land das nal kil zu trato gisin nasha. Kudo she zodizen be hastilel. Kudo hojondo na sasha ma yadil kisha kudo dishjini kunde. Altron kudo kunde sasi klini kunde na ani dan lini kudo altron kudo. Ni masan dan lini mada lini kudo kunde. Ni salaben an ai kunde bik nahoti ne kodoyat odo dishini kunde so de zen lini banahotis lekto kodo altron kodo kunde ni hit nadan lini kodo altron kodo kunde nabikeya altran kodo kunde tinit lej bekra anda alte kunde hinanishin deilt e kunde benash kodon hikida so tio kodon hiyol kal kui jine hayol kal ne haji nat at ebi dide khat so de kunde ni hikida so tio kodo dishini kunde ne hajibi hina yil kan kodo shidigin na no lini kodon he away ni tsuyaj kunde ni hitliyaj lini kodo kunde bik nahati ni kunde na nishin side kunde salabnan kunde alate alanje das dai kunde bik ehodi ni kodo dishini kunde na nishat ido lichto yat bik ehodi ni do lichto yat kodo kunde beshbata hist ando lech kunde banash kodo kunde Hol agon be yol kala kodo yat bananish il on kodo in kabelta no son kodo tien evet anje kodo no son kodo yat de dishini kunde bananish gi lad lechto kodo dishini kunde salabenat ani danit lini kodo beket na si trani kunde yat do kunde beken si zon kodo ni nanish del ino del kunde shedi in de nat noch lini benash kodo dishini kunde yat kodo dishini khanna yil khani kunde benash kodo kunde biketi nihin lini kodo yat do dishini kunde hojonast olel hojonast tron mik hojonast olel yeah.
Thank you, Captain, for that beautiful prayer. I'd like to say thank you to President Jonathan Nez, all his staff. We have our retired Chief Philip Francisco here in the audience with us. It's good to see Chief, Director of Training for EMS, Ramon Yazi, and then plenty of other, looks like official dignitaries. Special thanks to our Director, Divisional Public Safety Director, Jesse Delmar, and of course, our honored guest, Daryl Noon, Chief of Police. I'll be doing a welcome address before I turn over the time to President and Director. President Calvin Coolidge once said, "No one is compelled to choose the profession of a police officer, but having chosen it, everyone is obliged to live up to the standards of its requirements. Justice is an essential component of the democratic rule of law, and it is a fundamental responsibility of the government. In fact, our system of laws, law enforcement, and the courts is called the justice system. I work for and represent today the Navajo Police Department, an integral component of the justice system. Not surprisingly, the Pledge of Allegiance also ends with justice for all. Finally, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and all the other super friends were headquartered at the Hall of Justice. Coincidence? I think not. Just over 2 years ago, I met this gentleman who had a very strong sense of that justice. I met, at the time, Deputy Chief Noon. Chief Noon was sworn in to the Navajo Police Department January 8, 2019. Chief Noon has been a police officer with the Farmington Police Department for 23 years before retiring from Farmington, but not retiring from law enforcement. He has just changed uniforms, and now he wears our proud Navajo Police Department serving the Navajo Nation. Chief Noon is Honolahni, born for Bilagana. He was born in Fort Defiance and raised in Shiprock. He graduated from Shiprock High School and began his law enforcement career as a detention officer, then soon after becoming a sworn commissioned police officer with the Navajo Police Department. Throughout his career with Farmington Police Department, Chief Noon has elevated through the ranks, first as sergeant back in 2004, to lieutenant in 2009, and to captain in 2016. And eventually, he retired from Farmington Police Department as the Deputy Chief of Police from Farmington. His field experience includes patrol officer. He was a SWAT operator. He was a traffic officer. He was a field training officer. And he did training, recruiting, and also did his time with internal affairs investigations. Having been raised on the Navajo Nation and reaching milestones in his career with the Farmington Police Department, and he is definitely reaching milestones here with us, and he is already making and has made a huge impact by being a positive influence and an inspiration to us all. Chief Noon is fair, open-minded, he is even-handed, and professional. He honors his family, his peers, his bosses, and the public. He demonstrates commitment to others by treating them fairly without bowing to the pressure or to the biases. I'm honored to know this gentleman. I'm glad and I have the pleasure of working directly for him. And so we are pleased, and he's a blessing to the Navajo Police Department. I know he has some big goals and big objectives for the Navajo Police Department, and so we celebrate your promotion, Chief, and wearing those 4 stars on your collar, and we appreciate you being our new Chief of Police. I'd like to introduce, for special remarks, our Navajo Nation President, Jonathan Nez. President?
Thank you. Thank you, Emmett, Mr. Yazi, and Aren. Danichinatlagido da isanotsagi. Good morning and Happy New Year. It is the year 2022, and it looks promising for the Navajo Nation Police Department. Kodosh dej ashin ein shlido tkatne sane ibashin twidich ini dashichido tkachini dashanala. Aro Shanada Vice President Lizer ya DJ do nakhabigata nakhadinil shlnoye ishi yil inais inigido balchin ya yilnakhe. So DJ kwa ho agi ba hel ado naso nihlaya do it nasko hot din hitslal dan lingi hun nat ani do na antin shi naso basala joy kodo ba hehni zintsla no lingi ado kwich kon hikidado nakhanda pa nakhalchin hik edan lingi ba da hosya he the nepa addition ado kwa ya nihe atslete dan lingi Jesse Delmar koje Division of Public Safety has alanje nakada satado Dr. Perfilia Fowler Division of Human Resources alanje nakha yalt ado koje Navajo Nation Telecommunication Regulatory Commission has Chris Vicente kon petlasi tlido akeno tlenigi nikito here do yat dan hidi nido left. You know, this is an exciting day for the Navajo Nation. Today we come together to celebrate and give thanks to one of our very own frontline warriors who is taking on a tremendous challenge to help serve our Navajo people. First, I want to thank the Navajo Police Department, Division of Public Safety, Director Jesse Delmar, Captain Emmett Yazzie, Captain Ron Silversmith, and Judge Malcolm Begay for being with us today and allowing us to host this special occasion. I also want to welcome all of you to the office of the President and Vice President, including Mr. Noon's grandmother, Rosalie Yazzie, and mother-in-law, Delphine Clashen, and other relatives that have come from afar. Thank you for being with us today in support of Officer Noon. Dating back to 2016, when I served as the Vice President of the Navajo Nation, we were in great need of someone to step up and serve our Navajo Police Department. The position of police chief remained vacant for many years. Our prayers were answered when Philip Francisco answered the call to serve and fulfill the role of police chief in 2016. A few years later, Mr. Darrell Noon returned home from serving with the Farmington Police Department, where he served as their deputy chief of police. He returned home to the Navajo Nation and began serving alongside Chief Francisco. Together, they began building a legacy for the Navajo Police Department that led to an increase in the number of police officers in our communities, salary increases to help recruit and retain more officers, and the ongoing re-evaluation of our criminal code to help strengthen our laws and to identify more opportunities to heal our people and our communities. In late November, former Police Chief Francisco and Mr. Noon met with us here in this office, and we talked about the success they built together and the challenges they overcame together. On behalf of the Navajo people, we thank former Chief Francisco for his tremendous service to our nation, and we wish him and his family the very best in their new journey with the Bloomfield Police Department. Kodo Alaj Salaun Linigi, Chief Philip Francisco, Nachahagato Kachiin Le Bloomfield Police Department, J. Laj Etzilade Nyille. Nike Kodo Naha Adet Isnol Sagi do Dan Hinatigi, a Bedini do Les, Chief Francisco. 2016 eta e kon Russell Begay laj ta sata ta do she kudo biga to sazaneta kudo bananish e nakhaila la nihidini ado ade de kwishi nache ahot abananish il on tsla bananish ajo del on ba henitsen kudo laj tsledein lo qade ya Yigatos Zinigi Deputy Chief Daryl Noon Ek Ade a large Danta Ek Ade a large Tilide do left Lao Benanta Lao Daikaja Chief Ile so Ashi DJ Ekon Yati Ni do left Hot out Ashi E Ya Na Antin Dona Hat Nasit Ito left she e winzen doni hade da nana nat ani na khadol winzen de jun he kodo shna shdaye Jesse Delmar ahot a e di na hat agi nasi titole yi gatos zingi e bitti kunet tatno tas e kot a e atskin lodo nice yilwol do lefti tsla has aja e hot out e kodo lani khidini digi Daryl Noon ba henitsen. Now with the swearing in of Mr. Noon to serve as the next police chief, we will continue building on the success and legacy he and former Chief Francisco began building together. Just as our prayers were answered with Chief Francisco, our prayers have once again been answered with Mr. Noon, our soon-to-be Chief of Police. We know that there are many challenges ahead, but we are fully confident that Mr. Noon's experience and background will help lead our frontline warriors to many more great accomplishments and increase the safety of our communities and our people. This is the next era of the Navajo Police Department, based on performance. And as I said in Navajo, continuity is very important. Deputy Chief has served in this capacity right alongside Chief Francisco for many years. So it's only ideal that the Deputy Chief now become our Chief. Chief Noon is a tenured law enforcement professional who assisted the Navajo Nation Police Department to get to where it's at today. And we look forward to great things for the Navajo Police Department. To Mr. Noon and your family, we thank you for taking on this new challenge, and we want you to know that you have our full support as we move forward together. Di biniyata si klingi teacher kodoni hinanta Jesse Delmar sta jo e large atsilete in Leah Division of Public Safety has aja e arts ko kujits la do Division of Public Safety des e aro Dr. Perfilia Fowler e da initiative des e aro kujido Chris Vicente e being del kidigia nilche communication broadband internet dot egi kides e jo e hot out e ka nature skeno lini la e con division directors bana nishi di jing de do babi gat kwa asasi tlingi nte ka nature do kodo hits lao e ya ke si zi do bi gato ye si zinota judik at na tin do bala ndez ha ishin hilya ilni chastoitini the kosen skagina hast eight at da jot abjelia ako a kuich kon hits lalt so nakhanda pa nakhanda khe nikida des I nakhada halia she kodo shike na lini ade tan hinasgi nihijo pa inshke nlego nihits lalt khada da kha hoya beken soz bigaton soz Jana go bitch ya dal he. Jan he hot an hi ya da ho a. Any tlini the nanny tlini. Khodo a man lenigi a masan lenigi. A man lenigi go kong al chindan lenigi. Jo edo na an tien shi bitch ko dalia. Egin na che ekon se zindo se ta. Shido ka de shwal no. Hiche la selin e ba hihnitsa. So on behalf of the Navajo Nation, we welcome you, Daryl Noon, to your new position as the Navajo Nation Police Department, the chief of the greatest indigenous police department in this country. And I truly believe that. Thank you for attending and watching today. God bless you, and God bless our great Navajo Nation. Ikhela.
Thank you, President, for those beautiful, kind words and sharing your knowledge and insightfulness. I'd like to introduce the Division of Public Safety Director, Jesse Delmar. Jesse Delmar is also one of those that have progressed through the ranks years and years ago. Started off as a Navajo Nation police officer, became a Navajo Nation criminal investigator, and then he winded up being the supervisor of criminal investigations. Then he went outside, and he was the chief of police for Fort McDowell Reservation for many years. And then upon his return, he was appointed as our Division of Public Safety Executive Director. So it's my honor, my privilege to introduce Director Delmar. Director Delmar.
Thank you, Captain, for the introduction. Jesse Delmar in Shia. A shinch do Todich in a bashish chin. There's a land dash a chedo, Todich in a Tachini ye edashanale. Nare Western Agency, Nare Nazas and Hashna Ado Shamante Adonaga. Ado Shije Ado Shat Toho. Like me said, the Hashna Ado Shije Jigande sto. So hot the Nenschle. To here in the Schneedo Leshita, Shta President of the Navajo Nation, Jonathan Nez. For your kind words and talking on behalf of the Navajo Nation and talking to the people. Though he spoke a lot about from his heart, as all of us know. I'm in line with what he said and pretty much support his office too with everything that we have to offer from the Navajo Division of Public Safety. From the Division of Public Safety, we strive every day in bringing the best service to the people of Navajo. And as we talk with the President's office and talk with other division directors too as well. Last month, I think about a couple of weeks ago, we did have a meeting at Twin Arrows. So I was given the opportunity to talk to the executive branch, the division directors, and also the President's office, Vice President, and everyone else. The President's office did want some direction from us as to what we're doing and what we were planning to do. So I did express that, and I expressed the special thanks to the former chief of police too, Philip Francisco, for stepping forward. Just to let you know that this job that Deputy or Chief Noon is going to be taken upon is something that is like no other in the law enforcement community. I can say internationally to you as well. This job is pretty huge, and it is. I told him this many times, Chief Francisco, is that thank you for stepping forward and giving us a lift. What is important for the Navajo people, for the this administration, for the executive branch, and also the legislative branch, the judicial branch, that Chief Francisco did take on a tremendous job, a lot of accomplishments within a few years. My superiors, they're asking and looking for accomplishments. It seems like the highlighted ones for Navajo. But we, as within the division, from the police department to EMS, to fire, to the emergency management department, everyone, the Division of Public Safety, they accomplish a lot every day and every night, 7 days a week, that they are out there answering calls and making accomplishments every day. So I just want to make that known to the Navajo people that, we're here. And what we are concerned about and what we like to improve is the service product that we give to the Navajo people every day. But we are out there. So I want to thank the former chief of the Navajo Nation, Philip Francisco, for looking our way and stopping our way. And thank you so much. You did a lot. Captain Yazi mentioned that I was with a different department. That was where I came from. We had this guy that was working for us. He came from Navajo too as well. And I remember him saying this to me. Within 3 years of my service to the Navajo Nation Police, I probably did more on Navajo within 3 years than out here, than these guys here who had served 20 years. It's that heavy on me, and that's a true statement because I've experienced it myself. So when the chief did announce that he wanted to spend more time with his family, he wanted to move on. So I thanked him at that point in time, and then I wished him the best. So I did notify the president, and I had a recommendation to the president as to who should be the next. It is so important. The president talked about continuity. That is especially important because the two gentlemen that are here did so much together, and is so very important for the Navajo people that we continue what the chief of police, Francisco, did with the next one, because they work together on many projects. So it's so important. We can't stop here. We have to continue. So myself and the president, we did bring in Deputy Chief Noon at that time, and we asked him. And without hesitation, he said yes. I know this is going to be a tough job, but I'm willing to take on the challenge. One thing I heard from him, as he's going to tell you himself, is when we had the going away party or get together, and it wasn't a party, get together for the chief. Deputy Chief Noon was sitting right next to me, and we were talking about the state and what we're going to do. And the comment he made to me was, "I'm ready, sir. I'm ready to take up on this job. It's going to be a challenge for me, but I'm ready." So this is the day and the time, sir. Thank you for stepping forward. And to the family members, to the niece and also to the nephew, to the grandma and the mother-in-law, thank you for sharing your uncle your son-in-law and your grandson with us. This is so special to the Navajo people that he brings a lot to us, and we appreciate that. And we'll work with him and give him the best support that we can give him and offer him. But I want to thank you to all of you, the relatives, for sharing your loved one with us. And we'll be working together with him from this point on. And we're so excited as the Navajo Division of Public Safety, Navajo Nation itself too as well, and on behalf of the Navajo people too. Thank you very much. And to the employees of the Navajo Division of Public Safety, I will say this: thank you for all you do every day. Thank you very much.
We're going to do the pinning of the badge. Chief, who's pinning your badge? Okay. So, this is a very important occasion. The badge represents so many things to all of us, but especially to us as in law enforcement. And the reason why we wear the badge on the left is back when the Trojan warriors, the warriors, back even in our day when they were holding the shield, majority of them were left-handed as far as holding the shield. And they would yield their sword on the right hand. So that tradition came forward as a protector of us. So that's why we bear the shield on the left side. And so not only does it represent honor, integrity, discipline, all these big, huge leadership words, that's what it represents to us being a law enforcement officer. And on his is special because he gets 4 stars and not 3 stars anymore. And so as that represents, of course, there's some military tradition that comes over across. You know, he's representing a 4-star general if it were the military. So these are very high honors that is bestowed on Chief Noon. So at this time, I'd like to have the family come up. I guess we can do this in front of the camera, and then we'll pin the badge on Chief.
I'm so honored to pin this pin on my grandson, the Navajo chief, I believe.
Congratulations. For the swearing in, I would like to call up Honorable Judge Malcolm Begay. Judge?
Good afternoon. My name is Judge Malcolm Begay. I'm presiding here in Window Rock. Sitting at Jini Chlini Kiani Basichin. Sanjikin Aisha Cheado Shanale Tsedskijnik. Welcome to all my relatives. Welcome to this afternoon's hearings. And does anyone have a copy of the oath at the moment? All right. The oath you are going to be taking renders you the chief of police here. It's a solemnly promise that you will abide by all Navajo Nation laws, treaties, and laws of the federal government, as well as the Arizona and New Mexico. I will briefly grant it for you. When I ask you to state your name, you will state your name in full. You will raise your right hand at this time. Go ahead and state your name.
I, Carol Moon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the laws of the states of Arizona,
and the laws of the states of Arizona,
New Mexico, Utah,
New Mexico, Utah,
and the Navajo Nation.
and the Navajo Nation,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and that I will defend them
and that I will defend them
against all enemies whatsoever.
against all enemies whatsoever,
That I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties of a chief of police
perform the duties of a chief of police
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my. So help me God.
You may put your hand down. And I am to remind you that as a police officer or a police chief, that you will faithfully permit that you will defend the individual rights and enforce the laws in a fair and impartial manner. You will be truthful, honest, courageous, and industrious in performing your duties. Direct all your efforts to serve in the best interest of the Navajo Police Department and the people of the Navajo Nation, most importantly. You will loyally support your supervisors and refrain from any destructive criticisms of the department of any police officer. Do you understand your oaths and your ethics at this time?
I understand.
Welcome to the Navajo Nation. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
luck.
Chief, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Chief. I'd like to welcome you to the microphone and give us an address. Chief?
Good morning, everybody. The weight of this office just hit me. That was very powerful. Yate she Daryl Noon Yinisha Hanagachni Nishle Belagana Bashichin Tachitni Deshiche Beshpichai Deshanale. First of all, I want to thank you. I'm very humbled for this occasion and this setup. It's more than I expected, and I think more than I deserve. You all have been such a tremendous support staff or support for me. You know, I've worked with a lot of you on a lot of different things, and I think that's one of the advantages that I get coming into this office is I've been here for 3 years. So I've got to meet a lot of you, work with a lot of you. Before I go any further, you know, I want to thank Grandma Rose for pinning the badge on me. Grandma Rose is 94 years old, and it is a tremendous honor to have her here today and share in this occasion. You know, it's just, she's been a rock in my life for just so many years. Yeah, even just when I was starting out, I mean, she was there helping. The same goes for my mother-in-law, Delphine Caution. You know, they've just been a tremendous part of my life. And I think one of the things, you know, for me, you know, I'm a humble person. I don't really demand the spotlight. And whenever I start to take myself too seriously, this family, they keep me in check. My sister-in-law Terry and my nephew Orion. The rest of my family couldn't be here today, so if they're watching, Danielle and Gabrielle, You guys, you guys mean the world to me. You know, all the years that I've been doing this, you've stood by me through the ups and downs. You know, when I do this, representing you both, as well as the rest of my family here. You know, I never really looked to this office, this position, as something that I was looking to try to achieve in the future, you know, of my law enforcement career. I just know that, you know, 3 years ago, Chief Francisco came. You know, we started talking about a deputy chief position, and so really, you know, with all my heart, Chief Francisco, I want to thank you for bringing me to Navajo. This experience, it is, like Director said, it's like no other. You know, getting to work here with tremendous people, the command staff, you know, we've all come up together. We all have the same goals and we the concerns of the community. You know, we want to make a lot of headway, a lot of changes, and we have a lot of things going on. We've done a lot. There's no doubt about that. But we still have a lot of work to do. And you know, one of our biggest focus is to continue with our training academy, because you know, all of these things that we want to do requires people. So that's my challenge to all of you out there. Come join the Navajo Police Department. It's the one of the greatest agencies in the country and the world. It's been very rewarding for me to be here, to come back home, to work with the men and women of this agency. You know, this is not about me. This moment in time is, but this is not about me. This is about all of us, the command staff, all the different departments in the Navajo Nation. You know, this is, in order for us to be successful, we need your help. And you know, I just I'm really overwhelmed with the support of the President. Thank you, sir. Director, thank you. Captain Yazi, thank you for those words. So just to give you a little bit of a reality of what we're facing here on Navajo, everybody knows we're shorthanded. You know, we talk about it all the time. And the only reason I bring it up whenever I bring it up, it's not an excuse, it's a reality. So just for this last police academy, you know, we had roughly 280 applicants apply for the police officer position. And after backgrounds, we started our academy with 32. And currently we're at 21. So that kind of tells you, you know, the obstacles we're facing, the challenges we're facing. So, you know, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there. You know, if you think you can do the job, you know, I'm telling you, you know, come on over, give it a shot and help us out. And to the community out there, you know, when I got here, you know, I told everybody at that occasion that the Navajo Nation, as far as I saw it, was a blank canvas. You know, now the artwork is slowly, you know, coming to light. We're starting to see a picture of where we're going and what we want to achieve. But like I said, we need people to do that. I really don't have much else to say except, again, thank you all for being here. This means a lot to me, and you know, to the crew back at the Farmington Police Department, Chief Heavy. I wanted to thank you. I don't know if you're going to see this. Get to where I'm at. So with that, I'll end this, and one last time say thank you. This is great. I'm looking forward to getting started to work. Thank you.
That concludes our celebration and promotion ceremony. Again, thank you, President, Director, Judge. It's good to see you. And all the guests, visitors, honorable dignitaries are also here in the audience. And all of you are listening. We appreciate you logging on and sharing this experience with us. So we appreciate you. This will conclude our experience here, promotion, celebration, all the excitement of Chief Noon being promoted. So thank you, everyone.